Alright, so chapter 3. This is basically the first real chapter of the game, the other two being tutorials. It seems like you only start off with 4 units, but you'll see after I start playing that you immediately get a couple of extra units as backup. So for now, you've got main character, Vander, Flim, and Flam. You've got 2 sword units ahead of you. You got some Pegasus Knights on either side of this long hallway. A little bit further in the back, you've got some more sword units, Pegasus Knights, and the map boss is an armored unit. So that armored unit, you're probably going to want to hit with your mage, so keep that in mind. But leading up to that, you're going to want spears and axes, and you'll notice that you don't have any spear users on your team. You'll get one. His name is Alfred once the map starts. So if this is your first time playing this chapter, you probably won't know that you have a couple of reinforcements coming. So you see that's why I'm going through and I'm just really carefully checking out all of my enemies, seeing their placement, seeing what weapons they have, make sure they don't have anything tricky like a javelin where you're not expecting it, or one of those anti-horse weapons. So anything like that. So just taking it really slow, being really careful and methodical, checking out all the units before actually making my moves on this map. So the strategy I'm going to employ for this particular case is to leave my main character, Aliar, where she is. That'll put her in range of all 3 of the enemies, but I'll also move Vander in range as well, so he could potentially take some fire off of Aliar. I don't know if he will, but he does have an axe, so perhaps the sword user on the right will choose to attack him instead of Aliar. We'll see. So just place my units, use a chain guard just to prevent as much damage as possible, and then see how this goes. So in the enemy turn, they just all come and attack Aliar. So you'll see I'll just fast forward, or I'll just skip some of these cutscenes. I get a crit, so there's one guy down. And then they attack with the other sword guy, so I get a little bit of damage on him. And then lastly, they attack with this lance guy. So I guess they were thinking they wanted to put a sword guy next to Aliar in order to get that backup attack. And that's why they ended up using both swords guys before the lance guy, rather than breaking me and taking no damage from the jump. So on turn 2, Eddie, Freddy, and young Boucheroni have joined the squad. So now I have a bow user to handle these Pegasus Knights, which is going to come in handy. And I've got an axe user to help with the lance enemies. And then, of course, I've got Alfred, who's now cavalry and a lance user, so he'll help with the sword guys, plus he's got tons of movement, so he'll be very versatile. So far, I think his stats are pretty average compared to everyone else, but that just makes him... he's still good because he's a cavalry unit, so he's got a lot of movement, which gives him a lot of flexibility. So he just... even though he's got middling stats, they kind of are amplified somewhat. So I just weakened this guy with clan, so now I'm just gonna send in Alfred to try to finish him off, but as you'll see, Alfred's gonna miss, so I'm gonna have to try to finish him off again, probably with Aliar. Yeah, you see, he missed, really let me down there and denied himself some experience. Gonna go ahead and heal my main character with Fran, because I'm super low. I'll die in 1 hit if I don't. Now I want to move Boucheron up here to attack this enemy on the left, so that's why I just quickly scanned up there to see how much range these Pegasus units have and how many of them there were. So Boucheron goes ahead and kills that guy. He only has 88% accuracy, which is pretty good for an X character, but there's been a lot of times in this game where that 88% has let me down, so just saying, I think they heavily nerfed 80% chance in this game. Alright, so now enemy phase. Javelin Pegasus is going to attack Boucheron for 7 damage. He's an axe user, so he's kind of healthy, as they tend to be. My main character gets broken, but fortunately she's not in range of any other attackers. And then we get a legendary critical hit from Boucheron, who never lets me down. So that's 1 Pegasus Knight out of the way. And then now on my turn, I can just easily clean this up with all the units I do have. As you can see, Etier gets a free 1-shot on this guy, so I just have to worry about 1 Pegasus Knight with the rest of my entire team. So there's a lot of space between me and the next round of enemies, so I can really kind of take this any kind of way I want. So what I'm going to do here is just attack this guy with Vander, just to set him up. Now, virtually anybody on my team should be able to pick up the kill. I get to choose who I want to give the experience to. I'm just placing my units here. This is something you should be doing on every map, but just placing my units near and seeing how much damage they do to the enemy. And decide I want to kill this guy with Alfred and give him some experience. And of course he does a good job. So now I just gotta heal up and get ready for the next phase. Now normally with your healer you want to heal somebody who is going to be tanking for you. So in this case it would usually be the main character, because the main character, I don't usually put Boucheron in positions where he has to tank for me. But in this case, he's in the open and available for attack, or vulnerable to attack. So I just made sure I healed him up and then moved him up in the range. And then my character, I'll worry about her.
Here until the end.
Yeah, as you can see, I just don't even move her in range, so it doesn't matter that her health is low. And we just have one measly Pegasus Knight to deal with. And Boucheron does more than half health in 1 swing. So I always like axe units in Fire Emblem games. Axe units are usually my favorite. My favorite lord of all time was Hector from the GBA, an axe lord. Loved his animations. So usually in these games, I try to give a lot of experience and time and attention to the axe characters if I can. I like the big axe weapon animations and designs, and I just like strong two-handed characters in general. So I don't use Vander much. For one thing, he's got a one-handed axe, but also he's your typical pre-promote unit that these games give, so not worth leveling up in my opinion, or at least that's my assumption as of right now. I haven't actually looked at the stat growths for this game yet. So right now I'm just setting up all my units for the next wave of enemies, healing up my main character and positioning everybody right in front of the enemy's range so that they can't be attacked, but they're, you know, as close as they can be to the enemies. And then next turn I'll decide who is going to be tanking and baiting the enemies in. Usually that role will fall to somebody like Vander, who's super duper strong this early in the game because he's a pre-promote, or my main character, who's also pretty strong. And also Alfred is a good idea for tanking. He's got pretty good defense. I think he's got the second highest defense on my team at this point. And he's also got an ability where if he just waits, which is what I would do if I wanted him to bait an attack, he gets strength +2, so he gets extra damage on enemy phase, which is pretty powerful as far as skills go. So you see I put Vander in on the Pegasus side. So when the Pegasus come, they're gonna attack him and take damage from him. And then I'll be able to clean them up with Etier and whoever else is over there at the time. Now I want to put Alfred right here. You see he gets Self-Improver, which increases his strength by 2. Gonna heal him to full life. And when the sword units attack him, he's gonna be doing a lot more damage than he would on my turn. Boucheron, I'm just gonna put near here. Boucheron, by the way, is a backup unit, and if you didn't know, backup units add chain attacks to your attacks. So it's really good to keep him around. If you could put him near, like a tile away from the enemy you're trying to fight, or maybe 2 tiles if he has a hand axe equipped. I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, if you could put him near the enemy you're trying to fight, and then attack that same enemy with multiple guys, or enemies around Boucheron with multiple guys, he will add a little bit of damage. So I don't know if it goes up over time or if it scales with strength or what, but so far for me it's usually 2 damage. So if I have him attack somebody and then have somebody else attack after him, they usually get an extra 2 damage added on. Assuming he hits. There's like an 80% chance usually. 80% chance that he'll hit usually. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you need some extra damage, or if you're fighting a really tanky enemy, you know, get Boucheron near and then smack him up. You'll see in either the next map or the map after that, I have an example where I really used that ability well to take out the boss of the map, I believe. I think it's chapter 4, but it might be chapter 5 or one of the parallel chapters. So you see the Pegasus Knights come in, they take a lot of damage. The sword guys come in, they take a lot of damage. The only problem is that the boss and his little backup archer moved in as well, which I was not expecting at the time that I did this, because they weren't in range to attack me. So them moving up kind of puts me on a clock, because now I either have to run away and try to pick off these enemies on enemy phase, or I gotta try to destroy every single enemy on the map right now at the same time. Or else I could just focus the boss, which is probably what I would do if I was doing a least turn count run. But for this run, where I'm just playing through for fun, not really caring about the turn count, and just trying to have trying to get as much experience on everybody as I can, like I want to attack and clear all of these enemies. So what I would like to do is hold this boss off for a turn. So you see I'm just scanning the boss, trying to see how much damage I can do to him, how much damage he does to me. I think it's a her actually, before I decide who's gonna hold this point. I think Vander would be a pretty good option. If I put Vander up there, he could hold this off pretty well. But in order to get Vander in there, I'd probably have to take out that sword guy first. So let's see what I end up doing. So I'm just examining all these enemies and comparing them with my units, seeing how much damage I can do to everybody before I make a move. In order to be as efficient as possible with your units, you want to do as much damage as possible. So for example, that Pegasus Knight, those 2 Pegasus Knights, I could attack the one with a little bit of health with Etier, but if I did that, I'd have to spend a lot more resources attacking the Pegasus Knight with full health. So what I would want to do is attack the full health Pegasus Knight with Etier, one-shot it, and then have somebody else who doesn't have effective damage against the Pegasus Knights kill the weaker one. So you see I end up putting Vander in the way, so he's going to block the boss. Etier is going to attack the full health Pegasus Knight that's furthest to the right. So now he's out of the picture. Easy kill. Now let's see who I end up attacking next. So I'm just gonna have Clan finish this guy off. He's a sword user. Probably gonna have my lance user attack the sword guy to the top left, and that'll break him so that he can't retaliate. I'm gonna save Alayar's Lodestar Rush for later. I don't think it's gonna do any damage to the boss, but I still end up saving it in this instance anyway. No reason to use it because I want to give experience to my other characters, so I don't want to just blow anybody out because it's a one-shot. So yeah, you see I'm gonna have Alfred go here. He's gonna break that guy and get an attack off. So now that guy is open to attack with anybody, even if I wanted to attack him with Boucheron, who's an axe user, he's not gonna get retaliated against. So even though swords are strong against axes, I don't have to worry about that. Go ahead and clear this Pegasus Knight with my main character. So now as you can see, at this point I've cleared the map of everyone except for the final squad. So these are the guys I was trying to fight in the first place, right? I wasn't trying to fight the boss just yet, so I'm just... Thankfully I have Vander here to hold them off, and I didn't need Vander to kill the rest of the enemies that were here. 78% chance to hit. Boucheron lands it. Nice. And now all we have to do is worry about how we're going to use our healer this turn. So it's pretty much a wrap at this point. I believe that knight, the boss, is one shot by clan even at level 1. So basically what I'm trying to do here is just figure out how to kill the archer just to maximize my experience. And the archer of course comes all the way over here and attacks my guy and gets crit. Boom, one shot. So now I don't even have to worry about it. All I gotta do is finish off the boss.
I have my orders. No one reaches the vault.
So I'm not gonna min-max the experience here in this scenario. If you were playing this, what you would probably want to do is heal somebody with clan first and get as many attacks off that do damage as possible. I just got clan, just ran up to finish the fight. Just wasn't thinking about it. It's been a while since I played a Fire Emblem game, so that's not the kind of things I'm thinking about right now. But anyway, that's the whole chapter. Pretty easy. The next one will be a lot more challenging, so see you then.